Every day, more and more people are making movies. Filmmaking has become the new GarageBand. I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Framelines, the series that aims the lens on those who are out there making movies. Some are backyard Kubricks making movies for fun, and others are aspiring Spielbergs, professionals working hard to make it in the industry.
Framelines is brought to you in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council.
Framelines takes our cameras behind the scenes as we go on location.
I worked it out with Connie. I bought out.
How much that cost you?
Speaking of which, I gotta check in.
I don't believe it. What the you gonna do? Walk the mall? Go paint seashells in Florida?
Yeah. Hey, Connie. Yeah, it's done.
Good. Put Reggie on.
All right. Who wants to talk to you?
Yeah?
He tell you his big plans?
Yeah.
You know we can't let it happen. I need you to take care of it.
I don't know, Connie, it sounds interesting, but I don't think so.
You wanted to move up. You want a shot? This is your shot. You man enough to take it?
Yeah. All right.
What was that about?
We're planning your retirement party, Vic.
So you're gonna do it?
Do what?
Connie just told you to kill me, didn't he?
A Way Out's a short that we produced in December of 2014. It's about an aging gangster who gets into a car ride with his young protege. And once he gets into the car, he discovers they've both been keeping a secret that could kill each of them. And it's about how all their secrets unfold and come out in the course of this one car ride. Well, the cast is one of the things I was super proud and excited about in A Way Out. We have 3 roles, one you never see. The 2 that you see, we cast from out of town. This is the first for me. One of them is a guy many people recognize when they see him, but they don't know his name. His name's Bobby Costanzo, and he was in Total Recall and a whole bunch of other stuff. He plays aging gangster Vic, and then his young protege who's keeping a secret is a guy from Oklahoma, an indie actor named Adam Hampton. We were really purposeful about where we chose to shoot A Way Out. I picked Franklinton, Columbus, Ohio. Had the kind of visuals we were looking for the movie. So Mike McNeese shot it. He was our director of photography. I mentioned earlier Brant Jones edited it. He also had a role as talent in the movie. We had a couple people who did production, had producing responsibility on the movie, and it was the first time they had been producers. So big part of what we want to do is give people an opportunity to learn. Starting with me, we're always looking to learn. And so we gave a couple, Franklin Grace, who's in LA, and Torrance Scott, who's here in Columbus, we gave them the opportunity to help in producing. And that was a good experience for everybody. Everybody learned. Well, so 2 big challenges for the shoot. One of them is we had not worked with out-of-town talent before. So that's, bringing somebody in from out of Columbus to work. One of them was a big Hollywood talent who'd been on hundreds of sets, and we have not been on hundreds of sets. We've been on 5s of sets. So that was really cool, and that one of the reasons I did it was so that we could all learn from one another. Big challenge in producing A Way Out was weather and locations. Those were our 2 big issues, and it really just underscored the importance of planning and building in safety days, and we ended up using every minute of the safety time that we planned. What happened was on day 1 we had exterior shoots, and if you have exterior shoots, one thing will always happen: it will rain. And it rained. And it rained so much that we got rained out. We had planned for rain. You can't plan enough. The next day we had an interior shoot at a garage. Because we were using firearms, some people got really nervous, and then some people who were bigger up the chain from them got even more nervous, and eventually we ended up with CPD, Columbus Police Department called, and the campus police department was called, and the local security was called, and we were locked up in that garage for about 4 hours of the 10 hours of daylight or 9 hours of daylight we had that day. But in the end, we ended up shooting, and it all came out okay. We needed to have Robert Costanzo leaving set on Sunday, our final safety day, at 3 o'clock. We wrapped A Way Out at 2:55 p.m. So we had 5 minutes of our safety day, so I guess the planning worked. The best part of shooting A Way Out, number one, is always the same best part for me with filmmaking, which is the teamwork. You get on set, you're with everybody who's contributing. I don't want to seem highfalutin, but it really feels noble to me. It feels like a noble endeavor. All these people get together, they contribute their talents, they are contributing to something that's bigger than them, and it moves me, really. Like, that's really, really satisfying. And we have really good people, and people that have worked together and people who haven't worked together, and we all came together and made this short, and that's always one of the best parts. The other best part about shooting A Way Out was watching these two actors really arrive into their characters in this car. And watching these two guys arrive into character and realizing they were there, they were in character, they were connecting, they were really listening to each other and believing each other. And it's beautiful, really beautiful. We ended up with a movie we're really proud of. It meets the number one criteria we always have, which is it a compelling story?
Peter John Ross breaks down a movie-making technique right now.
Movies start with the script. There's a very specific format for screenplays. You start with where the scene takes place, a description for the scene, then write the character name, and finally dialogue. A lot of screenplays read more like a book, and if they do, it might sound something like this.
Interior apartment day. This is Charlie's home. He's a guy in his mid-30s who graduated top of his class, lost his job, and misses his girlfriend.
Well, that's great for a novel. Making a movie is like building a house. The script is a blueprint. Blueprints are not colorful paintings or artwork. Blueprints are the foundation for all the people involved in getting materials and the construction. If we use the blueprint metaphor, the script has to tell everyone what they need, so the screenplay really should be telling the entire crew what they have to shoot. If we look at that short script from before, how do we shoot that? There are a million ways, so the screenplay should tell us more specifically what will be shown. Let's try again.
Interior Charlie's apartment day. Charlie, mid-30s and unshaven, sits on a couch. The TV flickers on his face. Several empty bottles are on the table in front of him. He pours himself a stiff drink. Close-up of a diploma on the wall. Charlie picks up a picture. It's of his ex-girlfriend and he stares at it. He lays it back down on the table.
See the difference? Now we've told the cinematographer and the entire crew what they are going to shoot. The costume and makeup departments what they need, and even props and set decorators to prepare a photograph and some of the set design. And that's not even stating the difference in giving the actors their own interpretation of what is written. So keep in mind that there are significant differences between writing a screenplay like a book and writing one for shooting.
Scott Spears moderated a panel discussion with actors with the Mid-Ohio Filmmakers Association.
All right, you got the part and you're gonna go on set. What do you need from the director? What is it you guys are always looking for? Is it, do you want a director to let you run loose and then they rein you in, or do you want a director to talk to you up front and kind of define the parameters and then let you go? So we'll start with Brian.
The way that I like to direct is probably also the way I like to be directed. It's that whole golden rule thing. I tend to let the actors do whatever comes naturally to them first, and then I validate those choices and say, I like this, I like this, I like this, I'd like to see more here, I'd like to see less here, I'd like to... So it usually what that does is it gives them that feeling of safety, like that their choices are valid. And I like that too. I don't like to be over-directed when I first walk in the door to sit down. I like for the director to ask me where I'm going to go with it, what I was seeing, and then to say, okay, well, I didn't see it that way, I saw it this way, this way, this way, or to tell me what parts of what I brought in they liked or didn't like is fine. But to me, there's that whole validation process as a director. It gives people that safe place to experiment, because if they're locked up because they've been given all these parameters, you're not going to get the best performance out of them. So I try to direct the way I like to be directed, which is let me do it my way, and then tell me what you don't like, tell me what you do like, and then dial me in, or take me aside and tell me. But that's how I usually like to do it.
Christina, what kind of words of wisdom are passed to you that you like?
Well, I like to have a conversation with the director before we start shooting, just to get an idea of their vision for the film, their idea of who the character is, how I fit in the story. And so I kind of come in kind of feeling like we're on the same page there. And the thing I really, a couple of things. One thing from a director that I prefer is just tell me. You know, if you don't want me to move my eyebrows, tell me, don't move your eyebrows. You know, just don't try and come around with a different way of, I actually had that direction, by the way. Don't move your eyebrows. That was in Bunyan. You know, it's a visual medium. If that's what they want to see, then just tell me. I've had directors try and get a reaction from me by directing the other actor, and when I'm the one on camera and it's their back to camera and they're the one getting all the notes aside, it just feels like somebody's going to jump out at me or something. So I just want to know, just tell me what you want, and that will work. And yeah, so I think that was it.
What advice have you been given on the set through a director that either helped or didn't help?
Well, in an overall picture, in an ideal situation, once you've been cast, I think that should be about 90% of it. I mean, if you've gone through the audition process and you've gone through a callback process and then you're going to show up on set, I think it also depends on the type of project, but your performance should pretty much be to where the director is looking for it. That's been my experience most of the time. But then the actual workings with the director, I mean, the best scenario has been in doing a film with a larger role is to be able to have a chance to do a table read, to do some rehearsals, or anything before you actually get to filming. And a lot of times in the indie world, that can help out for several reasons, for not having to do so many takes, finding out what the director wants beforehand before you get all of your equipment and everybody there and all the people. So, but I do enjoy that, and I enjoy having that time of preparation beforehand. As far as being in a situation where it's maybe a bigger budget thing, when you get to a set and you're working in maybe like a day player role and you've auditioned and gone through the callback process, that's pretty much the way your performance is going to be. And I guess I don't expect too much interaction on a larger scale production like that in a smaller role. So I think it's my responsibility as the actor to show up to do what I've done the 2 other times they got me the role, and to try to be consistent in that. But working with a director as far as getting notes or changing things on the fly, I would say what Christina says. Just, it's like, I'm just going to repeat what both of you said. Work with the actor directly. That's what I appreciate. Respect them enough that if there is an issue, to pull them aside. And in a film setting, I think that's the best. That's the way I would prefer to work. In a commercial setting, and I don't know if you want to get into that much. In a commercial setting, if you're working with a client, a lot of the times the client will say something to the director in front of you, and then the director says it right to you. You just got to kind of get an understanding of the environment that you're in, right, and be okay with it. But
one other thing, a lot of times I get asked to do really emotional scenes, and so those, I think some directors want to be all happy and jokey right before the scene, and I kind of might not be the most fun right before that scene happens. I don't need to be in the back room crying before the scene, but sometimes it's nice just to have it be a little bit a little bit more somber leading into that. But everybody works differently. I know some people don't need that, and some people need more of that. So that's usually something I've discussed with the director. But I've had directors try and like talk me through, like while I'm becoming emotional, they're trying to talk to me about things that they think might make me emotional, and it doesn't really work. It's kind of like,
It's your own space.
yeah, it's really your own thing, and it's kind of not even something that I don't feel comfortable telling people the things I use to trigger, because then it kind of loses the magic too. So those are, I mean, if we're having trouble, then yeah, let's talk about it. But mostly I just need some quiet space for that. So.
One thing I'd tag on, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to just tag on to what John was saying about being in a commercial environment, or when you're doing industrials or something like that. I've had a lot of clients that they want to talk, when I'm directing, they want to talk over my shoulder to my crew and my talent and say, do this, don't do that, do this. I have to take the client aside and say, this is a ship and I'm the captain and they're to do nothing unless I say that. So the client sometimes struggles with that because they have immediate things. So I also have to take the actors aside. So if you want to empower your directors, whenever a client shouts over that director's shoulder, always defer to the director on set and say, is that what you want me to do? Because after the client does that 3 or 4 times, they'll get that nobody's moving unless the director says it. And then the chain, it just becomes easier. But as an actor, you can empower your director by deferring to them whenever, especially in industrials and stuff, when clients are 2 feet away and sometimes they don't respect that boundary. They know they're paying for it, they know it's their gig in their minds, so they'll talk over the director, they'll talk to the camera guy, I don't like the way that looks or whatever, and it's like, no, give it to me, I will tell the crew and everybody, and that way, and it's difficult. But as an actor, you can help that just by deferring to the director and always saying, is that what you want me to do, boss? Because that client doesn't seem happy, but you tell me, it's up to you. And eventually the client will get it, that's the way things go. But that's...
Yeah, chain of command.
Yeah.
Holly Harold has made her mark writing for television since leaving The Ohio State University, and now she works in the industry on the West Coast. She's written for shows like Criminal Minds, Smallville, Warehouse 13, and Arrow.
I came from a tiny town where there were very, very few jobs. So to come to California and this industry where there are so many jobs, I spent probably the first 3 years just saying, oh my God, I could do anything. I could design costumes. Not that I can actually sew or design anything, but the possibility was there. I took a low-level job at a major talent agency, which represents everybody from James Cameron to Madonna. I mean, rock stars and film stars and television stars. And I got to see the town from that kind of scope, even though I was also working for peanuts and basically, starving and buying food at 7-Eleven. But I had this amazing view of the town, and I got to see a lot of possibilities of what kind of jobs you want to take and what's your route going to be. And I was fascinated, always wanted to be a screenwriter. That was what I wanted to do when I was at Ohio State. But I also came out here knowing I didn't know enough. So when I'd done my year, it's sort of your year of boot camp, always your first job out here, and my boss said, you've worked very hard, what do you want to do? And I took a job with one of their clients who was a television and film producer and also was going to direct his first feature film. So I got to go on location to Europe for my first film, where they feed you for free when you're on a film, which was awesome. But I was behind the scenes. I sat with the director and watched everything he did. I helped work with him on the script, and I learned sort of from the ground up. But I also had a lot of fun. So that was production. I thought, maybe I don't need to write. Maybe I should stay in production. And I did that for 5 or 6 years. I coordinated production, I coordinated post-production. I learned basically all the nuts and bolts of everything that goes into the physical side of making a film or a television show. And I woke up one day and thought, I think I want to write now. Knowing, again, that I was sort of not starting all the way over, but choosing a path that would require me to take a couple steps back. And I wrote my first sample script, a spec script, a television episode of Law & Order, and I used that to apply to one of the many writing programs that are offered. Warner Brothers Television offers a program, Disney offers they offer a feature and a television writing program. Fox now offers a diversity program. NBC has a writing program. So I entered my script into the Warner Brothers program, and they accepted me. and I worked on a couple television shows working for what's called the showrunner, which is the person who creates the show, runs the creative side of the show, runs the writing staff, and also runs everything about production, hence showrunner. So I was assistant to several showrunners, and then I wound up on Smallville, and that's where I got my first break, and they gave me my first episode of television to write that would be produced. So that's a 10-year story right there. Yeah. Generally, on Smallville, we had two USC grads, Al Goff and Miles Miller, who would come in at the beginning of every season, and they'd say, here's what we think. We think Clark Kent is going to meet Lois Lane in this 22-episode season. So about 13, he's gonna meet her, and about episode 22, he's gonna hate her. And then the writing staff, and there's about 10 writers usually on every 22-episode television show, will go in and say, okay, these are our signposts. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna make this happen? They were showrunners who very clearly had their vision. I just started on a new show, and the showrunner came in and said, all right, there was the pilot, help me. What do you wanna do? So that's what we're doing in this case, is we are laying out those signposts ourselves. What's gonna be the arc and how's that gonna happen? And then yes, after those storylines are laid out, each writer is assigned individual episodes, and then we write those. And the upper levels will help the lower levels and will help rewrite things, but everybody gets their own episodes, their own name on it. You write every character's voice. I'm always asked, which character do you write? I write all of them, all the time. I have to know how to be everybody on the show, and for that episode, those are the people that I'll do all of them. And I meet a lot of people who want to know, how'd you do it? Like, what was the one trick thing that you did? Just work really hard. And that it is the most mundane, most boring advice, but it is time and time again the thing that I've seen that differentiates every person out here. Even the ones you think had some sort of amazing idea that got them right in, you'll find out there was a decade of work behind that, whether it was at home in Ohio or out here. You will always find that the people who are a raging success are the ones that work the hardest. And the other thing starting out is you have to call everybody you know. You have to have no shame. You have to put your pride aside, and you have to call everyone you know, and you have to be willing to start really small, and you have to know you're not going to run the studio the next day. There's one particular Ivy League school, which I won't mention, but I will say that every time we had interns at Smallville, we knew the ones that were going to fail. We knew the ones that were going to bottom out, and they always came from one particular Ivy League school because they came in the door thinking, I'm going to run the studio, I don't want to get anybody coffee, and I don't have to get anybody coffee. Never understanding that there were 20 people lined up behind them dying to get the coffees for the opportunity to be in the editorial room, for the opportunity to be there to learn everything. Know that. Know that there are 10 people willing to walk over your dead body to get to those spots, and they will get the coffee. Get the coffee, it'll pay off. Everybody told me, you want to be a writer, you have to write. And yes, that is true. You have to have product. You have to have material to show people. And every single time you give somebody a script, they're going to say, yeah, what else you got? And you have to have something to back that up. You have to have that material. But that said, you can't just write and keep putting it under your bed. So once again, you have to call everybody you know, and you have to beg them to read your script, and you have to find out who do they know that could read your script. It is a vicious cycle of begging. A vicious cycle of begging, but eventually you'll be the person who people are begging to read their script. And that's the next thing, is you always have to pay it forward. So you pay your dues knowing that somebody's going to ask you for that kind of help, and you have to in turn help them. My first mistake of many as a writer was I chose a show. They always say, write what you know, write what you like, write the kind of thing that appeals to you, and I wrote an episode of Law & Order. And my next thing out of the gate, because I wanted to be television and I knew I needed sample television scripts, was I wrote a Sex and the City. I thought I was showing diversity because I had this sort of hardcore law, legal procedural, and I had this funny, witty girls kind of thing that seemed to suit my personality and that people thought, oh, she can write. No one knows what to do with that. When you have two things that are that far apart, nobody knows how to brand you. And you will see huge genre writers now that want to make their pet projects, and they're making oodles of money, and their agents won't let them make their pet projects because they have a brand, they have an established brand, and that's what, at least starting out, is the best thing to do. Everybody in Hollywood wants to put a label on you, help them out. Because if you've got a label, you can be sold. Then you can try to bust out, although maybe your agents won't let you, but brand yourself. If you want to write dramas, write 3 similar, that show a little bit of range, but that aren't going to, and I've also got a multi-camera comedy, that kind of thing. You want to thank everybody you work with. You will be remembered for that, totally. You should also know that as I talk about the people getting coffee, they will be your boss someday. It is inevitable. You must be nice to everyone. But I mean, that's just basic human nature. You should, and you should want to be nice to everybody, but you should also be very aware that this is a business that's based on reputations, and that is always going to follow you. And it is a hard thing once your reputation becomes horrific. And we all know those people, they're famous, they're on TMZ. Once your reputation goes down the drain, it is very, very hard, and you have to be wickedly talented to even manage to work after that. Your opportunities will come from the way you treat people.
And now let's look at cliches in movies.
I am so tired of bad cliches in movies. Cliches so bad that it makes your stomach turn. For instance, it amazes me how women can run at full speed no matter the footwear. It seems like ladies can sprint at the same speed as a Kenyan marathon runner in 5-inch pumps. I've seen women who can barely last an evening in heels, much less sprinting from some kind of axe-wielding psycho in the woods. Also, no matter how well they can run or how fast they can go, they never seem to get away. Part of it's because they fall, but why do they fall? They fall because they're constantly looking backwards while running forwards.
If you'd like more information on the filmmakers or to purchase a DVD of tonight's program, please visit www.framelines.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. That's a wrap. We'll catch you next time on Framelines.